Hey guys, welcome back. It's Mitzi. So oftentimes I will get questions, people come up to me and they'll say, how do I know if my inner child's healing? Like, how do I know if I'm doing the right thing? And people ask this because one, they are afraid and they don't know if they're taking the right steps, maybe they're overthinking things, and two, they don't realize how far they've come, they don't realize the signs. So today we're going to talk about how you know that you are healing your inner child. What are the signs? But before we get into today's video, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Missy. I am a life and relationship coach, and on this channel we get to the root of the issue and we learn how to heal and deal. So if that's your thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to be a part of the fam. And if you already are a subscriber, I appreciate you so much. Also, if you are interested in any of my coaching services, I will leave it in the link down below. Let's get into today's video. So the first thing we have to talk about when it comes to healing your inner child, it's not like it's a destination where you get there and you're completely healed. No. Healing your inner child means giving yourself what you didn't receive as a child, so you stopped acting off of that hurt part of you. Healing your inner child means changing your belief system and changing the way your brain is hardwired, and things are still going to come up. It's still something that's inside of you, but you'll be able to navigate a lot easier and it'll come up less. So if you've done work where you healed your inner child and negative things have happened, or you've had some negative thoughts, or you felt like you were regressing a little backwards, which can happen when you're triggered, don't think that you haven't healed your inner child. It's just a part of the process. There's no such thing as perfectionism. Same thing with the journey of self-love. It's not a destination, it's a journey. And with healing your inner child, it's a journey. It's something that you'll always need to work on. You'll always need to have that self-parenting language, but you won't feel worthless, or you won't act off or operate off of that inner child anymore. That wound will be more closed and more healed, and you'll be able to navigate through those negative times easier. You won't go to those unhealthy coping mechanisms. You'll have healthier coping mechanisms. It's pretty similar to when you break your leg and you get a cast and it's healed. It's not something that's going to keep coming up and bothering you, and it's not like it's something that you have to heal, but there's still a reminder that it's there. It's not like it didn't happen. And maybe sometimes there'll be a little bit of pain, or maybe you have to be a little bit careful around certain areas because it could re-injure yourself. That's the same thing with healing your inner child. You will be healed from a lot of different things, from reacting off of certain ways you understand things, but there will be moments where you'll be tested, or things will come up and some of those triggers may come up, but you'll know how to navigate through them easier. You'll know to be a little bit careful around those areas, and it will affect you a lot less. And here's another thing we have to add. Being aware in itself doesn't entirely mean that you're healing, because you could be aware of something and not do anything about it. The part that's healing is that you are feeling through it and you're giving yourself that empathy. Intellectualizing it, meaning seeing it from a logical point of view, that is not healing in itself. You can understand why something happens, but if you don't feel through it, you're not processing it, and so you're not working through it. So part of that healing process is seeing it, understanding it, but feeling it, and feeling for yourself and empathizing with yourself. So with that said, let's go into the first sign. So one of the first signs that you will see when you are healing your inner child is you'll feel really sad. There's going to be more self-awareness to what has happened, and you're going to feel sad for your past self. You'll be able to recognize why you did what you did. You'll even see some of your own toxic behaviors, because even we can be victims that do some unhealthy things. Like our parents inflict their wounds onto us, and then we take on their wounds and start to behave similarly. That's normal. So we will recognize some of these patterns, some of the ways that we'll recognize some manipulative things we've done, maybe some passive aggressive things we've done. We'll recognize maybe we've even been a little bit emotionally abusive, as hard as that sounds, but it's true. Like, we take on, it's not our fault why it's happened, we take on some of our parents' unhealthy behavior, or we do things in order to survive, in order to get our needs met. So we'll recognize those things and we'll feel sad and we'll feel a little bit bad, and we'll be able to actually empathize with our past self, of being like, wow, that sucked that I went through those things, that's so sad. But you'll finally be able to recognize why you are the way you are, or why you do the things that you do. So there'll definitely be sadness. There'll also be maybe a little bit of relief relief of like, oh, that explains so much. Now I have a reason behind the madness or why I've done some of the things I've done. You'll be able to feel for your younger self, and you'll be able to feel for the things that you've been through. Now with that, going to the next thing is that guilt and shame will increase, but then it will decrease. So when you become aware, you may feel guilty for some of the past things you've done, but not only that, when you recognize that you've been maybe living off of guilt, or you haven't been able to make the healthiest decisions for yourself, when you recognize that and then you try to go against it, you will also feel immediately very guilty when you go against your guilt. So if you're normally someone that makes decisions off of false guilt, where you are a people pleaser, or you feel bad for saying no, or you feel bad for making decisions for yourself, when you go against that, you will feel guilty or like you're doing something wrong. So it will increase for a period of time. And as you continue to go against it, it will decrease. You'll feel less of that guilt. So you will give yourself permission to take care of yourself and see that it's okay to take care of yourself. So with that goes into boundaries. So because you're going against your guilt, you'll be able to say no more. And you'll be able to recognize the benefit of having boundaries, and you'll feel more comfortable, and you will enforce those boundaries. So before, you didn't really have boundaries. You maybe were always forced to do what your parents said, or you always felt obligated to do what everyone else needed, that you didn't even realize that you had your own needs, or you need to put yourself first. So you'll recognize like, hey, I'm drained and I'm tired and I'm sick of this, so I need to say no. It's okay to be a little bit selfish and think about myself in order to be the best person I can be. So you will see the benefit of saying no. You'll be able to say no, and you will be able to be firm and be like, hey, listen, this is what I said. I'm not going against it. And you'll be able to be more consistent. Now, here's the thing. You're not going to be perfect. Like, there's going to be times when you're on point and you're able to really say no. There's going to be other times when you're at your weaker moments and you maybe said no to maybe you said yes to something you want to say no to, and maybe you went against something you didn't really want to, and that's okay. The whole point of healing is not to be a perfectionist. Another sign you are healing your inner child is you will be able to voice your opinions, and you'll be able to speak up more. So if you grow up in a toxic environment, you probably felt like you were never allowed to speak up. You had to just eat shit and take it. And then it made you more afraid of assertive personalities or aggressive personalities. You would hold your tongue. You maybe felt like a burden. You felt like you really never had a say. Your opinion didn't matter. You were stupid, whatever it was. You had a really hard time speaking up. But now when your inner child has healed, you will feel comfortable speaking up. You'll feel comfortable voicing your opinion. You won't be afraid of that backlash. You'll feel like you got yourself, and you'll be able to deal with it. You will value the things that you have to say, and you'll feel like you have things to say. You will feel like you're your own person, because when you have wounds, you'll feel like you're not your own person. You have to kind of shapeshift and be different people in order to survive. But when you're healing that part of you, you are a separate person. You have your own ideas, your own feelings, your own opinions, and you'll feel comfortable voicing those things. The next thing that I think is so cool, because I've seen it happen to my clients, is people, especially toxic ones, will look different to you. So what I mean by that is that people that you used to be attracted to, friends, partners, situations, you used to be attracted to those things, you'll be less likely to be attracted to those things, because your beliefs have changed. You don't feel like you are worthless, or that you will get nothing, or you deserve nothing, or you won't feel like you deserve that bad treatment. That's all you're worth. And so you'll see these people, they used to be like attractive, you used to want to gear towards them, but now they may look a little funky. Like, I've had one client that says that toxic guys, they look goofy to her. She's not interested. She used to be so smitten and attracted to them, and now they kind of look goofy. They're ugly, they're gross. And it's so amazing to see that, because you don't feel like you're worth those things. The chemicals in your brains have actually changed, where your beliefs have completely altered, where you see the world completely differently. So you'll be less attracted to those things, and you'll be more welcoming and attracted to healthy people. You'll be more welcoming to vulnerability and to being close with other people, and You will be welcoming to love and giving love. You know what you want in your life and you gear towards it, and you feel like you're worth those things. So not only will toxic people look funky, but you also will be manipulated a lot less because you recognize that behavior. So you'll immediately be able to recognize, like, oh, I know this feeling, I trust my intuition, I know this feeling, I know they're manipulating me, or I know they're trying to get something out of me. I'm gonna back away. I don't want this type of person in my life. So you will get rid of those unhealthy people, and you will welcome the people that give you a good feeling, that benefit you in some sort of way, that it's a two-way street. The next thing is that you will recognize your triggers. So like we had talked about earlier, is that you're still gonna have triggers, there's still gonna be some things that come up, but you'll recognize them a lot easier. So before, you may have been very reactive, you may have been triggered, you had no idea why, you may have responded with anger or resentment, or you responded with isolating yourself, you may respond with being passive aggressive, and you would respond these ways, and you maybe didn't see what was wrong with it, maybe felt justified in it, or you maybe had overly victimized yourself. It felt like it was the entire world, everyone was against you, everyone hated you, and so you would act in these unhealthy behaviors to protect yourself, or you would react in certain ways when you were triggered that wasn't the best for you. And now you can recognize these triggers, and you recognize what emotionally gets a response from you, and you can deal with them easier. Not only will you know how to deal with them easier, but you'll know how to de-escalate them easier. So if someone tries to get a reaction to you, or they trigger you, or they do something similar to your narcissistic parent, you will recognize that. You'd be like, oh, I recognize this behavior, I recognize how I usually would respond, I'm not going to respond in that way. I know now I can walk away, or I can give them a very gray rock response. I know they're not going to get the best of me. Which that goes into something that will decrease, is that you will gaslight yourself less, and your confidence will increase, and you'll be more firm in your reality. You will realize, oh, I know the facts, I know this person is trying to twist reality, and I know they're trying to steer the course and take away responsibility from themselves. I recognize that. And so when I leave situations, I'm not going to question myself. I'm going to be firm and be like, no, I know the facts, I know how this made me feel, and I'm going to trust it. And so because of that, you'll overthink things less, you'll have anxiety about it less, you'll go more based off of things how you see it, rather than worrying if it's right, or if they're right, or if you're making a bad decision, or if you're crazy or you're making things up. You'll feel comfortable with yourself and reality. So when these thoughts come up, you'll face them and you'll work through them with more reasoning. And so with that, the anxiety will lessen. So when you've been through trauma, it's guaranteed that your anxiety is going to be heightened. You're going to be in more of a trauma reactive state. So when you heal that part of you, you'll be a lot less in that trauma response. You will get dysregulated a lot less. You will be a lot less in that emotional part of your brain, and you will have opened more of that reasoning part of your brain to be able to think things through and realize that it's not all placed on yourself, or that scary scenarios that are playing through your head are just that, your imagination going wild. You'll be able to entertain those anxious scenarios less. You will be able to overthink less, and also be able to make decisions off of desire and want, and less off of fear and guilt. So if that anxiety ever does come up, you'll be able to talk yourself through it. You'll be able to recognize that this is your anxiety poking in. You'll actually listen to your anxiety as well. If like something feels off, you will listen to it. You also will be able to calm yourself through this anxiety and realize, hey, this is my anxiety acting up, but it's okay. Let's talk ourselves through it. Let's reason with this situation. Or you'll think, okay, what can I do about this situation? You'll think about more what's in your control rather than what's out of your control. The next thing, which is one of the most important, is that you will be able to self-soothe. You will be able to parent yourself and give yourself the validation and the approval that you needed as a child. So when different situations come up, you will be able to work through them by being very nurturing and compassionate towards yourself. You won't shame yourself so much. You won't inflict guilt, you won't be so mean towards yourself, but you'll be able to treat yourself like a human being just like everyone else. So you'll be a lot more compassionate, and you'll be a lot more loving towards yourself and forgiving, and you'll be more understanding towards yourself. And you'll be able to tell yourself, hey, it's okay that I made this mistake, or hey, it's okay that, you know, this thing happened, I'm disappointed, it's okay. You'll be able to sit with that emotion, you'll feel comfortable sitting in that emotion, and you'll be able to work through it and love yourself through that moment and really feel that warm, fuzzy feeling that everything's gonna be okay, that you got you, that you can trust yourself, which is another big one that shows that you're healing your inner child, is that you trust yourself with decisions, and you trust yourself that you're gonna make it through and you're gonna be okay, and no matter what, you got you. And with being able to trust yourself, it'll be easier for you to make decisions. That's why it's easier for you to welcome healthier people into your life, because you trust yourself that you know who to trust, and you trust yourself that you trust your intuition when something is off. Another big thing is that you will be able to validate yourself. So instead of needing constant validation from outside sources, instead of constantly people pleasing, instead of needing external things to make you feel good, you'll be able to make yourself feel good on your own. You'll be able to give yourself credit. You'll be able to be proud of yourself for different things that you do. You'll be able to recognize all the positive, good things that you have done. And outside sources, other people, when they validate you, it'll be the cherry on top. It will be an extra thing. You don't need it in order to feel good. So when you're low, you don't look for everyone else to make you feel better. Is it normal to vent and talk to your friends, or like, you know, get validation from others? Yeah, of course, we're humans, it's natural, but it's not a need, it's a want, it's a desire. So you already know how you feel about things, you already know your opinions, you know that you did good on this certain thing, but then when someone else says it, it's a confidence boost of like, oh, thank you. You know, you will be able to have more confidence in yourself, and your self-esteem will have risen. You'll feel more comfortable in yourself, and you'll recognize the good about you. You'll know yourself as a person. And the last thing that shows that you are healing your inner child is you'll be stuck less in the past, and also you will be stuck less in the future, and you'll be able to be in the present moment. So it's normal to go back to your past and think about different memories, and it's normal to think about your future and plan for your future, but when your inner child is wounded, you will be just stuck there. That's what depression pretty much is. Like, when you're stuck in your past, that's when you're more depressed. And when you're thinking too much about your future, that's when anxiety rises. So you won't be in that anxiety or depressive state, but rather you'll be able to be more mindful about what you give your time to, and you'll be able to do what's in front of you. You will feel comfortable with yourself and being in the moment. When you're with your friends, you're able to be in this moment rather than in your head or worrying about the future, or even worrying about what other people are thinking about you. When you're taking care of your finances, you won't be so worried about your future. You will feel comfortable that you got you, and you're going to be able to navigate through this. If there's a problem, you'll be able to solve it. You'll feel confident in yourself. If there's something that has happened in the past, you've resolved it. You don't let it stay in your mind. It no longer needs to keep being brought up, and you stop ruminating about it because you've resolved it in your mind. You've accepted that it happened, and you're moving forward. There's more acceptance when you're healing your inner child. If thoughts or memories keep popping up and again, it's because your brain wants to deal with something. So when you recognize it, when you give it that space to be able for you to be able to feel your emotions and you heal from it, it won't take up a place in your mind anymore. You will be able to be here right now, doing things that you genuinely want to do, doing your desires. So here are some signs that show that your inner child is healing. And don't forget, when you're going through this journey, think back to where you've been and how far you've come. Because like I said, it can be hard to forget or recognize these things, but even doing a little bit of work really goes a long way. So don't forget to give yourself that credit. So what do you guys think? Leave it on the comments below, and please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. Which that kind of goes in the hair in my mouth. I hate, that's the only bad thing about a dog. Just like floating hair. You'll be stuck less in the present, or even you'll be stuck less You want to be stuck in the present.